You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. This is Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning by. Do you know that I consider you the greatest audience ever known to man on the face of the earth? Like ever. Like the best audience ever. And if I can't kiss you anymore, I'll ask that you go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, goodreads.com/Chris Voss, and LinkedIn, the big LinkedIn newsletter, the 130,000 group over there. You can check that out as well. As always, we appreciate you. At night, I think and dream of you as an audience, just as a whole, not individually, because that would be kind of be creepy. Just as a whole, I just go, what a wonderful group of people my audience is. And thank you very much. I mean that. I might cry a little. Let me see. Can I fake a tear? Anyway, guys, we certainly appreciate you as well. Amazing author that we have on the show. He's got an amazing story because we Google amazing authors in the Google machine. We just put them in there to copy that from someone I like on MSNBC. We just put them in the Google machine and out they spit and they show up every day. And today we have another fine person who in particular is a gentleman today. We have ladies as well on other days. But we have a gentleman on the show to talk about his experience. His latest book that came out January 12th, 2023, A Soldier Against All Odds, a memoir by Lieutenant Colonel Jason G. Pike. And of course, Jason G. Pike is the author of that book. At least that's what he's telling me so far. I'm going to believe him because he seems like an honorable man. Jason is a decorated combat veteran with multiple deployments. He served for 31 years in the U.S. military, Army specifically, including 9 years overseas in 5 countries. Jason earned over 30 service awards and badges in his diversity of Army jobs, assignments, and schools from age 17 to 48. Sets his military memoir up differently than most people. We'll find out what that means. And he has a straightforward account of one man's journey. He inspires audiences nationwide and shows how to be resilient and to persevere, no matter what disadvantages and life struggles may happen. Welcome to the show, Jason. How are you?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing pretty good. I'm very honored to be on your show today. Yeah.
We're honored to have you as well, and thank you for your service, sir, as everyone likes to say, because without you, you guys, we wouldn't have democracy. I think we can say that. I mean, not you personally, but I'm sure you were part of that contribution. But, I mean, if you want to run with that, you can too as well.
Oh, no, I just like you said, 31 years and 9 years were overseas, and everything was from the bottom, not only in education, but in rank. I started as a private, 17 years old, because I had failed a grade, and I had to go to a junior college, and everything was from the bottom, and I worked myself up, and I had a lot of problems along the way, which makes this book a pretty good story.
There you go. And you know, that's how kind of life goes. It's kind of interesting. Let's get your .com out of the way so that people, or I think it's your .org, so that people can find you on the interwebs and get to know you better.
So my book and my memoir, audio, everything, in 4 different versions, whatever you like it, ebook or audio, jasonpike.org, jasonpike.org, or just type Jason Pike in your Amazon account. I'm on Audible, I'm on Kindle, hard book, soft copy, everything. And if you don't even want to read any of that stuff, I'm on iPods and on podcasts, just like on this Chris Voss show. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, jasonpike.org. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, if you're not into reading too, you get the audiobook. I love audiobooks.
Yeah.
Because I can't read.
And
no, I'm just kidding.
It's from my horse's mouth. So I'm the audio and the narrator. I'm the narrator and the author. So
you didn't do it, your horse's mouth did? I'm sorry. We do the jokes around here. So what motivated you to write this book? What was the core thing that made you go, I need to write about all this crap? They're not crap, but you know what I mean.
everybody was thinking, how did a dumbass like you do all this? And I'm
It sounds
thinking,
like my biography.
No, I mean, I went through college, and I went through from a private all the way up to lieutenant colonel, which is a senior manager in the military. And everybody was thinking, how did you do this? How in the world? And I was thinking the same thing. And I thought, wow, this would be a good inspirational story. And I'm from a small town and from Fingerville, South Carolina. And I thought, well, I thought I could give a story out, inspirational story of a small town Southern dude that came up and made it pretty good. Yeah.
There you go. So tell us about your upbringing. I mean, you mentioned it a little bit. I don't know if you want to give us more details, but what, I mean, was there a military history in your family that maybe drew you to the military, or?
Yeah. My dad served in the military, but where I'm from, everybody likes military. But my dad, my book is dedicated to my father because he was the one who taught me a lot about perseverance and survival and things of that nature. But yeah, they didn't really like the military. My parents did back in that days. That military is for people, you're white trash. You just got to be a piece of crap to go into the military. That's their thoughts. They thought that privately. But it's a way out of a situation. It's a way to get education. It's a way to get your benefits and things. And so I was not educationally inclined. I was not. I had a learning disability, and I failed the first grade. English and writing are my worst subjects. Oh, well, by the way, I'm an author. You can figure that one out. So.
Hey, you should see my pre-edit.
So no, that's no, but really, that's kind of where I thought that everybody was asking the same type of question. So I figured it might be a good story.
Yeah. I mean, the story of perseverance, all sorts of different issues of life. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody who truly goes through life completely sailing and like no rain falls on their parade, right? And if they are, I hate that person, whoever they are. So evidently you were diagnosed with something too. Tell us what that was about.
So it was from Emory University out of Atlanta, Georgia. I failed the first grade. My first grade teacher said, yeah, this guy's got probably some problems here, and you need to send him to a reading and writing center. And they went through a lot of tests, and they said, well, this guy just really doesn't understand his letters, his writing, his reading. And that was a continual struggle. It was considered a slow learner, a learning disability. Mm-hmm. At that time they didn't know how to diagnose it. But I had to struggle with that throughout my career, not only now and before, and probably always. It's just one of those things I had to get around, and I developed creativity on how to get around it. And I show you how I got into trouble and how I got out of trouble through various creative methods. Yeah.
There you go. And then you even had a crippling bone disease as well.
Osteomyelitis. My left knee dissolved twice when I was 9-10 years old. I was on crutches a few times, and a lot of times. And so sports was not really good. I was not athletically inclined, and I was not, of course, academically inclined. And so I had to struggle with that. And a good question is, if you got into the Army with this problem with physical ailments, well, even academically ailments, you could ask a good question. When I was 17, when I signed up, I lied, and I told them I had no problems physically, which I did. But this was before the internet, before they could check out my story. So I got in that way just from my bone disease. But on an intellectual level, I don't know. I know I screwed up the SAT scores were college entrances. I screwed that one up real bad. So I don't know how in the world I passed the Army entrance test. That's something that's, to me, I don't know, but I just got in. But, I was not joining the regular Army when I got in. It was from the bottom. I went into the National Guard, and they used to call that the nasty girls, the no-goes, and they were the lower.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, they were the less than best. I mean, we were a bunch of yahoos, and yeah, we did. And so I got stories on that as well. So everything was from the bottom, and I kind of worked and slimed my way up to the top. So.
There you go. Well, I mean, one way or another, you're helping this country, so I certainly wouldn't call it anything less than what did you call it? The nasty guards?
Well, the National Guard was considered NG national. We called it nasty girls or
nasty girls. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
another term was just no goes. A no goes means you're a failure. But
Wow.
we were, National Guard was it's like a reserve force, and we're weekend warriors. And, so we're a bunch of weekend warriors. And but I got out of that and went on to active duty.
So you went active service, and you went in with which branch?
I was in the Army National Guard, so I went into the U.S. Army.
There you go.
Duty. Yeah.
There you go. And armies, my friends, I actually have a friend who is training right now for to become a ranger, and he's at the gym. This is how I made friends with him. He's at the gym with his ruck pack. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, ruck pack. Yeah.
And I've had my military friends over the years, some that have gone to Iraq. They love like saying to me, "Hey, you want to see if you can wear the ruck pack?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm like a 40-year-old, 50-year-old old man now." And they're like, "I'll hold it for you. We'll just let you feel the weight a little bit." And I'm like, and of course they keep me from crashing to my knees and probably breaking something under the weight of it. But that's a lot of weight. How were you able to deal with being in the military all those years with the bone issue?
So what I did was I worked out in the gym a lot, and I worked on my thighs. I worked on my calf, the muscles that surround the legs. I worked on that a lot. I was kind of a gym rat, and I worked and I worked and I worked on it, just like I did with many other things. I just continued to work out and put the muscles. Now, there were periods of time when I did the ruck marching with the heavy weights on your back, that if I did that over an extended period of time without working out the muscles, I mean, that I could feel clicks and clinks and things of that nature. But there was some pain, but I got around it. I did have some injections that were steroid injections that were put into me. Yeah. So I worked around it, but I never wanted to tell anybody about it because I wanted to stay in the military. I figured this was my only option in life, and so I wanted to run with it as best as I could. Yeah.
There you go. So it says here on the PR sheet, my story, therefore, is one of survival, perseverance, and refusal to quit no matter what. And it was gifted to you by your father. What was it that drove you through those early years? Because sometimes, when we're younger, things drive us that we don't really fully understand. I mean, sometimes sometimes we're moving from something or towards something, or we think that this is going to pay off. And sometimes you look back on it afterwards and you go, there was kind of something there that was keeping me going. Anything like that? And what was the reference to your father and a gift from him?
That's a good thought. I really didn't understand my father's influence on me until after he died. And then I started thinking more after he died about everything and how everything evolved, and started to put pen on the paper to try to put the stories together. But my father, I'm dedicated my book to my father, and the reason I have his pictures in there. The reason I dedicated it to him, I don't want to get choked up, is because he taught me through example of how to survive and how to have fun. But he said, you can have fun, and you can have trouble, and you can have fun getting into trouble. I mean, my father was a great father. I mean, he taught me how to steal watermelons, and he also taught me how to shoot bottle rockets at cars and do kinds of crazy stuff.
I like your dad.
He was a great father. When you're 9 years old and he's teaching you the term of trajectory and how to shoot a car, that's pretty cool. I thought that was myself.
There you
go. So, but then he says, if you get in trouble or if you have problems, you just do one thing. It's 2 words. It's the old term of never quit. And he was from a very, very poor white trash type of environment. We're talking about poor. Everybody in the South was poor, but we're talking about poor, like stealing food poor. He came from, finding rags and carpets out of the garbage can, and trying to stay warm and healthy just from people's dumps. And so he was that type of poor, and he taught us that if you have to do that, that's okay, but you just got to keep on trying and just never quit. And so he had a lot of influence, and I didn't know the influence he had on me until after he died. So he was a good father, a wonderful father. He taught me a lot of good crazy stuff.
There you go. It's underappreciated in this world how much of a difference a father makes in a child's life. I mean, to this day, my father passed, in 2014. The more I live, the longer I want to just go back and apologize to him immensely and thank him immensely, because I didn't realize the life lessons that he taught me, and some of the bullshit he put up with. The longer I live, the more I'm like, man, he had some cojones for putting up with some of this stuff that I can't even deal with. But that's marriage. Excuse me. Anyway, there's several different stories and we can tease out that are in the book. There's a story of you. What is the story of you with a hole filled with animal feces in South Korea?
Yeah.
What's that about?
So in life, a lot of times we all get down in life, and we all have problems in life. And there's a term what we call I'm up neck deep in shit, or there's another term where I'm neck deep in shit, or I'm up shit creek. That's a term we use as if we're in a very bad situation. Yeah. So, but personally with me, I have been neck deep and almost drowned in shit, literally. And it ain't a figure. It's a literal term. I mean, yeah. So, well,
how did this happen? You have to tell us.
So I served 9 years overseas, and a part of that time, a lot of that time was in South Korea. Mm-hmm. South Korea is a place where we have a lot of troops stationed to defend the region and the South. I was there as a young buck lieutenant. I was probably in my late 20s, and I was going on an exercise. And in the military, we have to show our competency of land navigation, how to get through the woods in the day or the night on a military map, in a compass, and be able to navigate out there in the woods or wherever you're at. Well, I was out there walking alone at night. It was an exercise, and I was alone, but they had dropped us off around 9 or 10 o'clock at night to go find our waypoints and find our places on the map to demonstrate our ability to read a map and a compass and things. Well, I was walking along this rice paddy, and I could smell it. There was a shit. Shit over there. They use that. As fertilizer. Shit is considered fertilizer. And I was over there walking along that rice paddy, and I could smell it. And I tried to stay away from it. And what happened was I slipped and I fell into it. Now, I went neck deep up into it. And what happened at that point was I was thinking to myself, I've never had a family. I'm not married. I don't have any children, and I don't want to die like this. Because
yeah, but you sound like you're happy though. That's a marriage joke. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die in shit. I mean, my last name is Pike, and I don't want it like Pike dies in poop. I mean, that's not good.
At least not literally. Plus, I mean, you think about the headlines. You're like, oh God, the headlines are going to be "Man dies in pile of shit up to his neck." Literally.
Exactly. I didn't want that at all. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about end of life, and I'm going down. My gag reflux was like, I'm thinking this smells, and I'm going down in a bad situation.
That's just Fridays for me around my house.
Well, I didn't know how to get out of it, and I was alone, and I was at night, and I was in the poop, and so what I did was start caterpillaring up on sideways. A small, it was kind of a quicksand type of material. And so I caterpillared up on the top of it, and then I eventually low crawled out on it. Once I got out, I was thinking, wow, I felt relieved. I felt like I had saved my own life from shit. And then I turned up and looked up at the stars, and I looked up and I said, God, why do you put me in this shit? And so at that point, I was a mob of shit. It was stuck all over me. It was inside of everything. And so, so I started to roll around in the rice stubble like a dog to get the bulk of it out of me. I wanted to get that bulk out of it. And then I started figuring out, and then I started thinking of another problem I was going to have. I didn't, soldiers are soldiers, and I don't want to be called pooping Pike, or I don't want all this stuff.
You don't want that.
Yeah. I didn't want to have the ragging, so I wanted to save my face. I was thinking about saving my embarrassment and how to get away from all the other people who are out there looking. This is the military, so a lot of people might know things. So I had to keep it a secret of how to get around that stuff. So, I was in South Korea. Now, I don't speak Korean, just a little bit. I saw a light out there. It was a farmer's house. And so what I did was I started walking toward that light. And it was I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was walking toward heaven or hell. I was just going to go to the house and maybe find help because it's not Americans. I know that. And so I went over there and I knocked on the door. And Ajima, the woman of the house, Ajima, we call her, and she looks at me. I looked at her, and at the front door, and she goes, "Agu, agu, agu," and I go, "Annyeonghaseyo, annyeonghaseyo." And then Korean, and it wasn't really necessary to speak Korean or English at this point. I was in a mob of shit, so we kind of could understand that. Mm-hmm. So she motioned me to strip naked on and I stripped naked, and I gave her my equipment, except I kept my rifle, my map, and my compass. And I gave her all my clothing and equipment for her to wash up. The motion, it was a lot of hand motioning. And she said, "Well, strip naked." And then she said she was going to find me the next morning and give it to me clean. And so now I had another problem. I had to walk back to camp naked and find my way back, and also avoid the other people that were out there finding their points. I did. I made it back to camp and naked and barefoot naked, and I washed myself up. And she came and delivered my clothes that next morning.
You should marry that woman.
Oh yeah, no man, yeah.
You should marry that woman. Any woman who will take a guy who's covered in shit and wash his clothes and then bring him to him. That's marriage material right now, there, buddy. Get her number for me.
Pretty cool. And I got away with two things that night. I got away with surviving. I didn't drown in my shit, and then number two, I saved my face. I saved my embarrassment. So, but I failed the course. It took me 2 more times to get that course done. But no, that's just one of a big example of things that have happened in life to me. A lot of things happened in life, and I have a unique way in my book. You'll see of how to get in stupid stuff like that and how I got out of it. Some of it was my fault. I slipped. I fell down. That was my fault, but I got out of it. So yeah,
there you go. I mean, that's a little rundown of what people do when they virtually go through shit or fall into shit, and then they got to climb their way out of it. You did it for real. So
it was real.
Props to you. Yeah, that's props to you, man. So there's lots of different journeys that you go on in the book and great stories you tell about perseverance. At one point, let's see, you got electrocuted in the doorway of an airplane. You're running from a police helicopter after burning trash illegally, and you nearly broke your legs after a faulty jump and parachute jump, and you got stabbed in ROTC, and that was just like on Friday. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So lots of interesting things, and then you even crossed hairs with the U.S. military, I think, and they had some issues with you. Tell us a little bit of that on a teaser.
Okay, so I was under a federal investigation with the Criminal Investigation Division of the Army and Military Intelligence. Now, in my book, I'm going to tell you the reason I want to be so brutally honest with everything is because when we go to this chapter, I'm going to tell you some things that I did not do, but I was accused of. And, false accusations, someone says this, or someone creates a rumor. You might be in a church or an organization, and some might want to stir up some stuff, and it's not true. Well, that's bad, right, of its own. But what if it's officially put into a hotline? And a hotline in the military, we got hotlines for everything. We got hotlines for, you got your suicide hotline, you got your subversion and espionage against the U.S. government hotline. You got hotlines for everything. And so people can use these hotlines to just throw stuff out.
Wow.
And so that's what they did. I I didn't get along with a particular person in South. It was a time in South Korea when I was a senior person. I had a whole lot of rank. I was a lieutenant colonel. I had a whole lot of recognition and awards. But still, even if you're higher in the organization, people can find ways to throw you under the bus or ghostlight you or make your life miserable through accusations and rumors. And so I didn't get along with someone professionally on a job. And what they did was they threw into the hotline that I was selling secrets or giving information to foreign nationals about the military, the United States military. And they threw this into a subversion in the espionage hotline, SAIDA, against so I was brought up on the hill of Dragon Hill Lodge, the Dragon Hill where the headquarters was, where I had to meet. Well, my commander was in one office. I was in another office. We had 2 sets of CID, Criminal Investigation Division, one with my commander, one with me. Had 2 sets of MI, military intelligence, one in one office. And we were being briefed. It was an orchestrated product to let's brief the situation that I was going to be facing, the wind that I was going to be facing of allegations of being disloyal to the United States military. Well, this was, of course, all bogus, and it really pissed me off a lot. And they said this is the situation you're facing, and they said, do you want to have a defense attorney because that's your right? And I says, hell yes, I want a defense attorney because all this is all a bunch of goddamn bullshit, and it pissed me off. I wanted to kick somebody's ass, and I knew who was behind it. So at the end of these hotlines, they have somebody that have to do their job. So they if they get something credible or whatever that they need to follow up with, they have to go and do their job. And so they're just doing their job. But I was pissed off at them. They were the messengers, right? So so they're giving me the message. But I knew who was at the bottom of it. I don't. It's in my chapter there, and I was pissed off. And I really think that they thought it was bullshit, but they had to follow up with it. And when they were walking out, when that CID guy was walking out the office, he put his hand on my shoulder and he says, Jason, try not to let this bother you. I said, oh, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, you go to hell. Like, that shit bothers me. I says, it's like, you can check my record. Y'all motherfucker, y'all got all this internet and technology. Why can't you just understand what's going on? Why do you have to come and talk to me? Y'all can see stuff and that I can't because you got all this technology. And that was and so I went to go see my defense attorney, and he says he questioned me. He says, what's going to happen in the next whatever, how many years? They're going to be following you around and they're going to be trying to get stuff on you. And that's what they did. And so for the next 2 years, I was followed around. I was monitored. I had boom camera and people follow me around trying to get something on me that never occurred to anything. And the biggest problem I have, I says, okay, well, I understand. Well, I've never had this happen to me. I've been trained for war and I've been trained for shoot a weapon, but I ain't been trained to be thrown under the bus. I never had that. And so I never knew that existed in the military. And that kind of pissed me off a bit. It gave me a whole lot of anxiety. And at the end of the day, what I was also pissed off about is, once I left Korea, it just sort of went away. No one said they were sorry to me. No one says all this was a bunch of bullshit. And that's what really got me. If someone says, hey, you're cool and this is what happened, we're sorry about it, I would probably understand it more, but that just didn't happen. It just went away. It just
And so you tell the story about going through all these crazy adventures, your life, and everything else, and people can read about it in the book. And now you travel around and you speak and you talk to people about the inspiration of your life. Is that correct?
Yes, I do podcasts, and I'm telling about the book and about the podcast of the book, promoting the book and the story of the book of inspiration, survival, and hope. And no matter what phase of life that you might be in, I felt that I've been in a lot of different situations. So yes, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
There you go. And I mean, this is an inspiring story of serving our government, serving our country, defending us against, what's the old line from the Constitution? Against all
enemies, foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic. And we seem to have some domestic ones these days.
There's the enemy within. It's like there is enemy that is within. I'm probably more scared of my own folks than the Taliban. So yeah.
Yeah. Lately, I'm scared of anybody who looks like me, who's in a large crowd and has an attitude. I don't know where we went wrong that way. So it's a story about hope, perseverance, and getting through stuff, and actually digging out of your own shit you might crawl into or fall into. Fall into. Some people crawl into their own shit and like rolling around, and they post about it on social media. Anything more you want to tease out about your book and story before we go, Jason?
No, it's Afghanistan's there, but Afghanistan is not the meat of the story. The meat of the story really is the ups and downs of a life in uniform, starting from the bottom, not only in rank, but also education. So I think it's a story of hope and survival and persistence, no matter, whatever. I think I want to get to that person who's a young person who maybe not think that they're much. My high school guidance counselor told me not to go to college, but I did because I had been through some things that they probably couldn't understand. So I think it's an inspirational story, no matter what phase of life you're in, and you'll be entertained. It's on Audible and many other formats, and so that's basically it in a nutshell. I served honorably for 31 years, and I got a lot of medals and awards, but I had a lot of problems along the way. Yeah.
There you go. Well, what's the old Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times. Yeah. I don't think there's anybody who goes through life on a perfect sail. Maybe there's a person. I think some people are perceived to live life through a perfect sail through with no issues, has no idea what other people go through and has not walked in their shoes. But, stories of survival, stories are lessons to life and our owner's manual for life, where we learn, okay, so how does this work and where does it go and how do we do it and how do we make things happen for everything and how do we survive? I mean, really, life is a game of survival, and doing the best that you can through it, or trying to come out the other side, having survived it. And sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's not pretty, sometimes it's a struggle. But in the end, you can sit back and you've got wonderful stories to tell around a campfire, I suppose.
Yes, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Yeah.
There you go. So, Jason, give us your .org, where you want people to find you on the interwebs.
So I'm on Facebook, Jason Pike on Facebook. I'm on jasonpike.org. I got my own website, jasonpike.org. The book and the Audible, all you're going to find that is Amazon. And so on Amazon, you just put Jason Pike. You're going to see the blue book there. Jason Pike, the A soldier against all odds, A soldier against all odds. That's where you're going to find it. You can just put it in your browser, A soldier against all odds. You'll find it there. Yeah. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm very honored to be on your show, Chris. We're
honored to have you, Jason, and the service you provided the country. I mean, that was what interests me in the book. We need to celebrate and take care of our veterans more and do a better job of that. And so I've always been supportive of that. And we have a lot of people on the show that have talked about some of the issues that go on with our veterans and stuff. And so I think it's important to amplify the stories and celebrate them, and the sacrifices people make for this democracy and what we have. Freedom isn't free, as they say. I'm not sure who says it, but I heard it once. Probably in the Constitution somewhere. Freedom isn't free. Is that in there?
I don't know.
I think there's a way of saying it that's in there. But Jason, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, sir.
Hey, thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And folks, order up the book wherever fine books are sold. A Soldier Against All Odds. A Soldier Against All Odds, a memoir by Lieutenant Colonel Jason G. Pike, available wherever fine books are sold. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time. And that's